But first, Australia is expensive. This we all know, especially when it comes to property. In fact, the head of one of Australia's software success stories, Atlassian CEO Mike Cannon-Brookes, says that the high cost of living here is the biggest hurdle facing companies as they try to attract staff. Now, with Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull welcoming us all to the ideas boom era as he pushes an innovation agenda, it will be interesting to see how policy will help foster that spirit on the ground. For some ideas now, we're joined by the Chief Operating Officer at Servcorp, Marcus Moufarrige. Marcus, thanks for joining us. Welcome to the program.
Afternoon.
Just give us your thoughts. Innovation is quite the buzzword right now with the current government and will likely become election fodder as we potentially head towards a double dissolution election on July the 2nd. Do you have faith that the government of the day will put its money where its mouth is and create an environment that first fosters the kind of innovation that down the chain drives your business as well?
Yeah, well, I think if you look at economies that are actually succeeding in doing this, I think you'll see that it really did start with a lot of talk. And so whilst everybody's saying it's a buzzword, and I think it's really important that the government of the day is actually talking about supporting small businesses and really looking at how we can get Australian small businesses to compete as we go, into the Asian century.
And how do you think we can best get Australian startups to innovate and compete?
Well, I think innovation is really market-driven, and so whilst it's great for the government to be talking about it, so that it's at the front of people's minds, really it's going to be market-driven. And so some of the challenges that we face in Australia, with Australia being more expensive, can actually be helpful because people are going to find more efficient, more effective, more innovative ways to do things. And also, I think that we're actually going to start looking to that population base to our north, because things are expensive here because there's not that many people. And I think that we need to start pushing our exports, particularly services exports, to the Asian markets.
Now, the innovation is also happening in your end of the market. There is WeWork. Now, you provide virtual office space at Servcorp. The U.S. company is, what it actually does, it's slightly different. It subleases office space on to small companies, either on short-term or medium-term basis. Just how much of a disruption is that innovation to your market?
It's not really different at all. It's exactly the same thing that we've been doing for 30 years, and basically it's a different position in the market. So really they're going for funky, warehousey, and really targeting the startup market for co-working space just as a place to work. But at Servcorp, it's not really just about a place to work. At Servcorp, it's about a presence. It's about having your phones answered professionally. It's about having the best addresses in the best cities and keeping your costs really, really low while having access to those great facilities. And so, Servcorp's just commissioned a study recently that says, first impressions are the most important thing that you can have as a sales tool. And 66% of people buying your product, whatever it is, whatever your startup is, won't give you a second chance after the first impression. And Servcorp's really been built around building a first impression for our customers. We're not just a co-working place to work.
No, but Servcorp has been around, as you mentioned, in the marketplace for quite some time.
Yeah.
So is it good that you have these offshore ideas? Perhaps they're not total digital disruptors or disruptors in the traditional sense of the word, but innovation, as you mentioned, is market-driven, but it's also competition-driven as well. How does Australia stack up when it comes to competition driving innovation here?
Well, I mean, I think that competition is a good thing. I think that, particularly in our industry, just to tackle the first question, I mean, I think that in our industry, where we really welcome becoming part of the mainstream, I think flexible workspace and different positions in the marketplace of different workplaces are a really good thing for us. And I think that if Australian companies view competition like that and then start looking at innovative ways that they can differentiate themselves, I mean, we've chosen to be the premium brand, and we've chosen to invest in technology infrastructure to give Servcorp customers a really great first impression. And they're the choices that Australian companies need to make when competition does come from the rest of the world. Otherwise, we're going to end up a branch office nation. And Servcorp, we're in 23 countries now, and we started as a small Australian startup, and we've faced plenty of competition from guys with bigger wallets, and we've done pretty well.
And the startups that you must speak with in your role, of all stripes, how does the sentiment compare here to those that you speak with in some of those far-flung places you mentioned, France, Singapore, Japan, where you also have a presence?
Yeah, well, I think that Australians have a natural instinct to sort of put themselves down a little bit. I think that's actually quite a good thing, because it leads you to innovate if you think that we're struggling behind the rest of the world. But I really think, going back to right at the start of our conversation, I think that the government talking about innovation being a great thing and really looking at getting small businesses to export, I think we do have some catch up to do there. I think that Singapore, above all others, has done a really, really good job at innovating in exporting their services, and their growth rate of services export is much, much higher than Australia's, and I think that's actually a great opportunity for Australian business, Australian innovators, Australian small businesses to start taking a piece of that pie, and I think that we can definitely do it. But we need the sentiment and the confidence to go in that direction.
Okay, Marcus, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your thoughts as always.
Thanks for having me.